I have always hoped that we have Chadema in Kenya. Didn't we have Amani until a few months ago? And yet the only thing that it had common with Mandela's party was the initials. So we could also have a Chadema in Kenya, uh, but the policies of Chadema in Tanzania and Chadema in Kenya may not be at tandem. Chadema is Democracy and Development Party. That is what it is in Kiswahili. Chama cha Demokrasia na Maendeleo. In English is Democracy and Development Party. But I will repeat that in Kenya, all political parties are the same, both in philosophy and the way they handle each other and manifesto. That's why they wait for the regional kingpin to name the party that they want so that the whole region follows that. I am yet to see Tundu Lissu when he's not smiling. He's ever smiling. And in German, ever smiling is translated to us, immer lachen. Those who come from my home area say that I am the only person allowed to turn the mourners into a laughing group. Among the northern Luhyas, a funeral is a solemn session where sad faces are encouraged, lest you be mistaken to either being happy that so and so is dead or you are the one who caused his death, especially through juju. So in Luhya, and especially northern Luhya, uh, smiling face in a funeral is discouraged. But I happen to be one of the people who make people laugh in funerals, and they are used to that. Although although where I come from, people know that I rarely attend funerals. We have people like the late Honorable Sir Charles Ongondo Were. They say that he never missed a funeral. But then I asked myself, why don't we say that he never missed a visit a sick person? Why is it that he's being praised for visiting dead people or funerals? A look at East African politics, firebrand politicians are dying, literally. Besigye, even though still fighting, is now beyond his sell by date. Dethroning Chama cha Mapinduzi is a tall order. But even if Tundu Lissu doesn't do it, he should remember that the great role that Honorable Matiba played in second liberation of Kenya. So yes, you can start it and then another Joshua comes in. We are at what we are at. Kenya is where it is because of people like Kenneth Matiba. As Kenyans, the case of Tundu Lissu makes us appreciate the little that we have. Since someone to the south does not even have a quarter of what we have, they are still very, very much behind. I heard the Tanzanian MP saying that there is nothing that they can learn from Kenya. His highest academic certificate is CPEE. Yes, you heard me right. I said CPEE. There are two E's at the end. Kenyans, before KCPE, we had CPE. I also did CPE of 1975. Just remove K and you remain with CPE. So in Tanzania, they have CPE and they have added an E to make it to CPEE. A leader with an equivalent of KCPE telling us that Kenya cannot teach Tanzania anything, including economic development. The only thing that Tanzania beats Kenya is the ability to maintain a political party for decades. NRM takes the silver. South Sudan beats us. Since the ruling party in South Sudan, the SPLA, is older than UDA or even Kenya Kwanza. I remember the late Julius Kabarake Nyerere telling Tanzanians not to aspire to go to London, since being in Nairobi was as good as being in London. And that, you see, Tanzania admiring has started many, many decades ago. When the University of East Africa was split into three, that is Makerere, Dar es Salaam, and Nairobi, many of the leading lights, especially law, went to Dar es Salaam University. Now tell me, of this generation of Dar alumni, does anyone shine? If we talk of Dar es Salaam University alumni in the 70s, they are all over East Africa. But let us be frank. Can you mention any alumni of Dar es Salaam University since 2020? Nyerere mentored good leaders. Those who were not mentored by Nyerere are the type of Magufuli and Samia. But if you look at the leaders who are mentored by Nyerere, you'll see them. Maybe we try to mention them. Do you remember people like Ali Hassan Mwinyi? Do you remember people like Benjamin Mkapa and Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete? Those are statesmen. Sincerely, was Magufuli a statesman? No. Magufuli, who used to make decisions, roadside decisions, well, he belongs to the Moi era, because Moi was very good in roadside declarations. If these three, that is Ali Hassan Mwinyi, Mkapa, and Kikwete, if these three continued ruling, they would have dreamed of an East African Federation. But look at Magufuli and Samia. They don't care about anything beyond their boundaries. Many of you may be hearing Tundu Lissu for the first time. I personally first heard of him when he was shot several times in Dodoma. He was airlifted to Nairobi Hospital and later to Belgium, where he had to undergo a total of 20 operations. Yes, you heard me correctly, 20 operations. I, for one, cannot survive the number of bullets that he had. Nor can I survive 20 operations, 20 major operations. But Tundu Lissu went through them. Look at him. You would argue that he has never faced even a single rubber bullet. He looks very fit. He's healthier than you and me, and is always, as usual, laughing. In Germany, a person who is always laughing, as I said, is called immer lachen. He comes from Singida, 320 kilometers northwest of Dodoma. This is equivalent to Eldoret from Nairobi. Eldoret is 320 kilometers northwest of Nairobi. He became a fierce critic of the government even before the election of Magufuli. March 2017, he was arrested for uttering words. I'll repeat that again. In March 2017, he was arrested for uttering words intended to wound religious feeling and ill will for unlawful purpose. Confusing. Yes, it is confusing even to me. Uh, it even confuses the arresting officer. I'm very sure that those who arrested him uh, just read that charge without even knowing. They were also confused. July 2017, 4 months later, he was arrested and charged for sedition for claiming that a government-owned plane had been seized in Canada. Imagine somebody saying that a plane has been seized in Canada. He was charged with sedition. To my understanding, sedition means any act of inciting rebellion or resistance against a government or established order. Now, how somebody can tell people that an aeroplane had been confiscated in Canada, I don't know how that one can lead to inciting rebellion or resistance against the government. First and foremost, people need to know, is it true? Is it true that the plane was confiscated? That is what the Tanzanians should know. They should know if the plane had been abducted. And if yes, was it abducted because of a debt? That is what Tanzanians know. Now, if it is all true, how comes that it is seditious on the part of the whistleblower? Your national plane has been abducted. Let me use that word. And I come and say that the plane has been abducted. Then you charge me with sedition. Sedition is things that leads people to overthrow the government. Now, how do you overthrow the government if the plane has really been confiscated? Okay, well, let us find out. Has it been confiscated? If it has been confiscated, has it been confiscated because of the reasons that he has said? Now, let us assume that all those things that he has said were false. No plane was confiscated, nothing. That is just a. If it is confiscated, then the government should tell the citizen how the debt came in, how it is going to be settled, and so on. But if he's telling whole lies or half truths, then I think it is not. He should not be charged with. But if the story is a fiction, then one is supposed to be charged with alarming statements. Alarming statements, but not seditious. No wonder some people in Kenya are pushing for a forensic investigation on all foreign debts. You know what happens is the African leaders do take loans on behalf of the country. After taking the loans, the country pays. And that is why when you start saying such things as whatever, they say that it is sedition. Because when Tanzanians know how the money was borrowed and how it was used, they will rise up and gang up against the government. That is the only explanation I can say. The former leader of Chadema was Lowassa, a Maasai from Arusha, who even contested for the presidency on Chadema. But later on, he defected to CCM. He defected back to CCM, and he eventually died a natural death. This one led to several changes, which included Tundu Lissu to be the current head of Chadema. One bold move by Chadema is that they plus other Tanzanians should not take part in elections without reforms. It reminds me of Kenya of 1992, where they were saying no reform, no elections. So that MP with a CPEE who was saying, what can Tanzanians learn from Kenya? They can learn one thing that says no reform, no elections. What does even a Tanzanian teach Kenya? A preacher once told us that if all our problems were put in one basket and we divided equally and each person took an equal fraction, many would say, let me just continue with my former problems. Kenyans would be shocked to learn that the Independent National Election Commission of Tanzania, INEC, the way it is constituted, I am sure Kenyans will put it there that it is fictions that I've made. The 7 Tanzanian commissioners of the INEC are appointed by the president. That is Kenya in 1990, isn't it? Where Moi just took my nephew, Chesoni, and made him the chairman and appointed other people. So in Tanzania, that is where Tanzania is right now. The 7 commissioners are appointed by the president with no regard to any, he may consult people, but there is no constitutional or legal fact that forces him to do that. The constitution, the commission enjoys security of tenure and can only be removed from the office by the president for failure to do 2 things. 1, discharge their function. Either, let me repeat it again. The commission enjoys security of tenure and can only be removed from office by the president for failure to discharge their 2 functions, either due to illness or misconduct. In Kenya, you remember the Cherera 4. Siendelei kushinda hapo. You know what I mean. Kenyans enjoy the circus of every 5 years, where all eyes are glued to the Supreme Court for its determination of the presidential election. In the year 2020, the African courts ordered Tanzania to allow the challenges of the presidential results to be contested in courts. There are no evidence of the Tanzanian government fulfilling that condition. It was to take the necessary constitutional and legislative measures within the reasonable time to amend the relevant articles. What this means that NEC, the INEC or NEC, which the president single-handedly appoints and single-handedly dismisses for illness or misconduct, when it has made a determination, there is no appeal. Yeah. The 7 commissioners just sit down, decide that JI-TENGE is the president of Tanzania, even if I was not on the ballot paper, and that is the end. You appeal nowhere, nothing happens at all. I'm sure Gen Z, especially in Kenya, would not believe it. They'll say, Mzee, this time, you always tell the truth, but this time you have cheated. I am sure that Tanzanians would be shocked to learn how things are done in Kenya. In the last, let me say, 2022, the presidential election in Kenya was contested. 2022. 2017, it was contested. 2012, it was contested. So since we had the new constitution, I don't think there is any election any presidential election that has not gone to the Supreme Court. My view is that Tanzania is still in the operator assisted phones. You remember those phones, unakoroga unasema hello, nipatie Nakuru 1956 number. That is what people are still in Tanzania. They have not even gone to that telephone where you used to dial and then it goes back. They have not even reached that. Yet, in Kenya, we have reached a point where we have smartphone and WhatsApp. That is figuratively. Uh, this case of Tundu Lissu, as sad as it is, and also the case of Besigye, they give people opportunity, especially Kenyans, to appreciate the little that we have, the little democracies that we have. And that is why Tundu Lissu was saying, kama wamedhibiti nchi yao wasilete hapa. You see, that is what happens to a leader. Anayenyanyasa watu wake, and then you come and try to show people around that this is the correct way. But then, Tanzania, you shall overcome. Thank you.